right, well, let's talk a little bit about our competition in the Western Conference. Some teams made some upgrades. Some teams added a big name player or two. And some teams made some calculated/strategic changes. If you recall, last season, San Diego, Vancouver, and LAFC overall had the best seasons. San Diego finished on top of the Western Conference with 63 points, 19 wins, 6 draws, and 9 losses. Scoring.
I really did not expect them to come out of the come out of the box that hard.
They scored 64 goals and allowed 41. Vancouver finished second in the Western Conference, but made it to the MLS Cup final, where they ultimately lost to Inter Miami. Messi. That was a Freudian slip there. But Vancouver finished the regular season also with 63 points, 18 wins, 9 draws, and only 7 losses, scoring 66 goals, the most in the West, by the way, and allowing 38, the least amount in the West. So it was almost fitting that they made it to the MLS Cup final. And LAFC finished in third, 60 points, 17 wins, 9 draws, and 8 losses, scoring 65 and allowing 40 goals. I'm not going to go through the rest. I'll just list them by place and points. Minnesota in fourth with 58 points. Seattle fifth with 55. Austin sixth with 47. Dallas seventh with 44. Austin eighth, also with 44. RSL ninth with 41. San Jose 10th with 41. Colorado 11th with 41. Houston 12th, 37. St. Louis in 13th with 32. LA Galaxy 14th with 30 points, and lowly Kansas at the bottom with 28 points. The top 5 scoring teams from the Western Conference were Vancouver with 66 goals, LAFC 65, San Diego 64, San Jose 60, and Seattle with 58. The top 5 lowest goals allowed, Vancouver led the West with only 38 goals allowed. Minnesota was second with 39, LAFC with 40, San Diego with 41, and Austin with 45. Okay, one last wad of stats I'll throw out there before we proceed with some questions. Here are the Western Conference leaders from last season. Scoring, good old Denny Bwanga from LAFC scored 24 goals. Anders Dreyer from San Diego was second with 19 goals.
By the way, Denny Bwanga, can he just leave the league already? Yeah. Like, he's been...
Right?
I mean, like, I saw he had, like, a big offer from, I think, was it Fluminense in Brazil or Flamengo? One of those... Yeah, it was Flamengo. Okay, yeah. I knew it was one of the Sao Paulo teams.
Yeah, and they didn't match the numbers. Assist leaders from the Western Conference. Anders Dreyer from San Diego was tops with 19 assists. Sverskov from San Diego was second with 13. Espinoza from San Jose was third with 12. Pereira from Minnesota was fourth with 11, and Sebastian Berhalter with Vancouver was tied with 11 as well, and Valakari from San Diego also had 11. So with all of that said, let's take a look at our competition, the teams in the Western Conference, and then see if you guys agree with me and tell you what, let's do it team by team. Yeah. Hang on. Changing this up. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll go down the list of teams.
Okay.
Starting with the top contenders in my mind. Maybe throw in some additions or whatever, and you guys can weigh in if you agree or not. I think that'll work.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
So, yeah. So we'll start with LAFC. A full season of Sun and Bwanga, just like last season. If they don't win the conference, probably top 3. You agree?
I think that's a mortal lock.
Yeah.
Barring a earthquake
that
drives LA into the ocean,
yeah.
Yes, I think that's almost assured. Unless, I guess with all of these, you put the disclaimer of, injuries notwithstanding.
Mm-hmm.
So, assuming health across all the teams, yes, I think
Yeah.
LAFC is a mortal lock for one of the top 3 spots.
All right. Another one, I got to stay with Vancouver. They didn't really lose anyone. Brought in the mighty A.Z. Jackson.
Well, they did lose Ali Ahmed.
Yeah.
And
Did they?
yes.
All right, I missed that one.
So he is a major contributor to that team.
But they brought in A.Z. Jackson. So
they did. That is a statistically accurate fact. Yes.
They brought in a couple young guys from Europe also to strengthen the bench.
I think what they've done to kind of offset the loss of Ahmed is sufficient. So yes, they will be one of the top 3 teams in the West. Yeah.
I don't see a reason why they won't be a top 3. I still like LAFC better, but they'll be up there.
Yep.
And also the most admirable of the top 2 or 3 teams in the way that their roster's been constructed, because
Agreed.
This has been a 5-year process for them of keeping their core primarily together and adding to it. And yes, you can say, oh yeah, they went out and got Thomas Muller, but they were really good before they got him, right? And so and they've kept that core together, and they are the kind of example of what City should try to be doing now, which is create a core of youth and of good players, and then over 2 or 3 years build that into a contender.
Yep.
So
I'm still mad at them over the way that the game was reffed when we played them early last
He was there.
season.
I was there. Imagine being there.
I
Like
saw your reaction. You
So
were
it's
not
like-
a happy camper.
So it's
It was
so funny. You
brutal.
mentioned earlier, like Song Bin, going deep and feeding Klaus and stuff like that. It is so hard for me to remember anything else that happened in that game besides the Mueller social media dream moment for MLS. That they admitted a week later should not have been called, but by then they already had their social media clicks and all that. And yes, I still maintain that's a conspiracy to get them their Mueller moment.
I mean, for the people who believe that things are rigged, that definitely is one that sets off red.
I mean, my
red
thumbnail
flags
literally
there.
said Major League Corruption. So
That's. But other than that, the way Vancouver is run, I agree with.
Yeah, they also have a lot of people overlooked this. I didn't even realize that they had the Defender of the Year and Tristan Blackman.
Yep.
Of course, Sebastian Berhalter, Brian White.
who Blackman was the subject of transfer rumors. This I guess Inter Miami wanted him, and Vancouver said, nope, you're not going anywhere.
You don't hear that very often.
Nope.
No.
And then another team I'm going to throw in here. This one might be a little controversial. This is obviously my opinion, but I really think the LA Galaxy are back, even without Ricky Puig. They added Hawk to bolster their back line. They added Eric Tommy from SKSC, of course, Klaus, Glesnes from Philadelphia, and of course they still have Peck and Pansel in there. Royce can still add some quality minutes at age 36, and 34-year-old Christian Ramirez still going. I'm not sure if they're top 3 yet, but it wouldn't totally surprise me.
Well,
I'll give them top 5.
You just gave a couple reasons why I don't think they will be top 3.
No.
And that's because 36 Marco Royce and
I'm not saying he's going to be a
34-year-old
major impact. I'm just saying that's nice to have him in your pocket, though.
It is nice, but again, they still don't have Puig.
Yeah.
And I mean, literally, Klaus was brought in to be, a Puig rental, while he's gone.
That's a tough bill to fill there, right there. I don't think he is a Puig.
Well, not like a like-for-like replacement, but just in terms of having quality on
You need somebody
front
up
third.
top.
But I will say this, bringing in Klaus, because one of the mistakes that Galaxy was forced to do last year was use Pansel more as a striker,
Which he's
whereas
not.
he's a winger. So now he can go back to the wing. I think that's an advantage, a huge advantage for them.
Oh yeah, no, they need
'cause he
him in
is
that
so
speed
fast.
out on the wing, not up top.
Oh, yeah.
So is the question: are they top 3 or?
Well, that's the thing. They're either.
I think
I
they're a
don't-
playoff.
They could be
team.
top 3.
I don't think they're.
I think they're
playoff
definitely.
team.
I think they're definitely top
They're
5 in my mind.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think they're a definite playoff team. What they're trying to do is interesting because what a lot of teams I think would have done is said, okay, let's go try to find a lesser version of Ricky Puig who does a lot of the same things but maybe not as well.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. They said, okay, what can we get to maybe change our style a little bit to where we don't have to change our whole roster over? Can we get a guy who can do some of the things he does but isn't necessarily, like Tom said, a like for like or a lesser version of Puig? And so to me, bringing in Klaus is going to change the way they play.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be good. I don't know if they're a for sure lock for top 5.
Okay.
I mean, I would wager anything that they make the playoffs. I don't know if they're top 5.
Well, and here's why I'm going to mention San Diego next. San Diego. I don't think they're top 3 anymore.
No.
They
I agree.
were leaders from last season. They lost Luca Della Torre. And
Who didn't do much for them, to be fair.
but they also lost Lozano.
That's a big one.
Well, it is and it isn't. That to me, and
I
don't
mean,
agree that they're
mentally wise.
Yeah,
yes.
I agree that they're not a top 3 team.
Yeah.
I think there will be a little bit of regression.
Well, I think that I'm just going to interrupt you to say regression. I was expecting regression to the mean for them, no matter what.
Period.
I think they were playing over their heads a little bit last year.
I would say San Diego's closer to top 3 than Galaxy, though.
Okay.
I think they're about equal in my mind, and
That's
the
fair.
reason why is because I don't know how much you're actually losing by getting rid of Lozano, because from all reports, he was such a toxic influence in the locker room.
Yeah, that's
On the field. Like, it's almost like do players there feel a little bit of freedom now they don't have to deal with it?
and they did well without him when he was injured. at the
Yeah,
beginning of
it's
the
not
season.
like he was
Yeah.
tearing it up, and they were completely dependent on him.
But with both the loss of both those guys, they didn't replace them with anybody
no,
quality, and I think that's what hurts them.
I mean, everybody can point to the Galaxy and say, okay, they are kind of dependent, or at least have been dependent on Ricky Pooch as the kind of driver of that team, right? There's nobody in the league, maybe outside of obviously with Miami, but they have so much talent that, Messi is Messi. Nobody's more dependent on one player than San Diego is on Dreyer. Like, nobody. Right. And so, if
I've got one, but yeah.
I mean, to me, anyways, I think they are so dependent on him, and so he has to have another MVP level season in order for them to be top 5 to me. So, yeah.
Seattle would be my last top 5 team. Not sure if you guys agree or not, but they did finish 5th last season. They didn't really add a whole lot this offseason. They did lose Paulo, Danny Leyva, and Obed Vargas, but compared to the teams left, I still think they have what it takes to compete. They still have Roldan, Rusnak, Ferreira, Morris, Musovsky, Rothrock, and a pretty solid D to back it up.
Well, and you missed a name.
Morris?
No.
No, I said him.
Oh, you said
No.
okay.
Who did I miss?
The name you missed is Brian Schmetzer, because any Brian Schmetzer team is going to be at least competitive.
Nice.
If not, and to me, they're the other top 3 teams.
Same.
Because that guy, I
can
know,
see it.
I know there's so much was made several years ago of Wilfred Nancy and his success in Columbus. There's no better coach in the league than Brian Schmetzer to me, right? And I'm not just saying that because he's an Ambush alumni who played in St. Louis for a season, but like, the guy is a genius. And so any team, regardless of what they have from a talent perspective, he's at least going to make them competitive. And if they have a competitive roster, he's going to make them a contender. And so, I'm a Schmetzer fanboy and will always be. And so, to me, they're the 3rd team.
Well, and I'll admit to being a little bit biased towards Seattle, just simply because the day after the Vancouver game, I went and saw Seattle kick the snot out of Kansas, and
Nice.
so I kind of became almost like a Seattle second fan that day. But also, like, if you're looking at just clubs year in and year out that just know how to build their roster for sustained success, Seattle is, to me, the hallmark of that. And
they're
when
always up there.
and when I looked at the offseason for us, I was thinking, who should we model ourselves after? And really, for me, Seattle. Seattle to me is they are the Death Star for a reason, and it's earned.
Yeah, very good point. I can't argue against any of that. I think you're right. They're going to be good again.
Yeah.
The next set of teams I'm just going to call playoff locks, in my opinion. Teams that, barring any major injuries, should make the playoffs. Probably won't win the league, but yeah. And of course, obviously, this is my opinion. You guys battle me on this. I love it. I'll start with Austin. As I mentioned earlier, their biggest disadvantage last year was scoring goals. They scored a total of 37 goals in the season,
Which is terrible.
but still finished 6th. In comparison, City scored 44, 7 more than Austin. But they added Facundo Torres. And another big factor, Brandon Vasquez is coming back from a season-long injury. You have those 2 guys right there. I'm pretty much, that makes up for last season, the lack of scoring last season. Still not enough depth and defensive issues to keep them out of the top 5, but I think a playoff lock. And I'm just doing that alphabetically.
I think they will. I think they will make the
or-
playoffs, but I think that I mean, even with more goals, like their goal differential last year it just showed that they got lucky a lot. Like to finish sixth. Though, but Dallas had a better goal differential than them. Portland had a better goal differential than them. San Jose had a better goal differential than them. This is a team that very easily could have been ninth, and it wouldn't have taken anything. They should have been ninth. They could have been 10th. So I think they needed that upgrade just to be a playoff team. So I do think they're a playoff team, but I think they're a low playoff team. They're not going to be scaring anybody come playoff time.
Yeah, they're a team that you look at and they've gone through kind of a rebuild themselves, in that respect. But like you mentioned, bringing in Facundo Torres, getting Vasquez back in, they're an example of a team that I think you can make a solid argument that I think they'll definitely be better than they were last year, and better probably gets them into the playoffs at this point. That being said, when I saw them in Coachella against us, they look terrible.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I guess they had a lot of injuries, and it wasn't their real
preseason's hard to go off of.
Torres or
Vasquez. That's fair. That's fair too. So again, don't read too much into preseason, kids.
But all it takes is Vasquez to get another injury, or Torres to have a terrible season. And,
to me, the big question for Austin this year is this the year that Owen Wolff makes the leap? Because I've been he's still really young. He's only 21, but man, that kid is right on the verge of being a superstar. And so if all of a sudden this is a year where it clicks, you're looking at Austin as a 4 or 5 seed to me. Because he's that good when you add those other guys. The only trade-off this year is that if you look statistically, Stuver was bad last year. He wasn't good, and so
except when he played against Klaus.
Well, of course, which he always has. But so if Stuver's back to normal and Wolff makes a leap, then I think they're a mid-table team. I really think that yes, they are headed in an upward trend, but it's kind of relying on him. Yeah, Vasquez is a good signing, and they've made some other moves that I like, but I think overall, Wolff is going to be the driver of how that team does. So,
all right, totally fair. Next up, another team. They had a really good season last season. I don't see them repeating. I think they'll be close to it. Definitely make the playoffs. Is Minnesota. Their biggest offseason move, of course, was losing their number one keeper, Dane St. Clair, to Miami, but they gained Jaime Rodriguez for at least a short-term loan, if not full season.
How much of that
what he does with them, I don't know. But they lost Robin Lode and a list of other guys they decided not to pick up their options for. They still have their top scorers from last season. They also still have Mark Hannick, although I seriously doubt he repeats 2025 with scoring 10 goals. But a solid team. Very well balanced.
They'll have Adelford as well.
Yes, they will. That's right.
Which means we don't have him.
If they play him.
Unfortunately. Well, that's true. He was having trouble getting time, getting minutes there.
That was the whole problem in the first place.
Maybe they don't like long throws.
Yeah.
Everyone should like long throws. There should be more long throws in the league. Every team should have multiple long throw specialists. I don't know why colleges should be cranking them out now.
Tom Schwartz, is that you?
Yeah.
All the years I coached high school, I had a few guys come through, and girls, who are actually good long throw specialists. And it makes such a massive difference because it's just such a huge threat when you have it. It is a legitimate threat every time you've got the ball down there. It's
one of the reasons why I had hoped that City was going to make an attempt. His name escapes me. The defender from DC that wound up going to Charlotte.
Schneck. David Schneck. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Austrian, was he? Austrian?
Yeah, he's Austrian. Yeah, and that was okay. He's not at the same level as Padelford as far as getting it that far into the box, but I did see some throws where it was maybe 3/4 of that way. Yeah. And I'm hey, if you're talking about combining that with a guy like Mbake, who we already talked about has the header ability and the leaping, That'd be a nice, combination. Now, City does not have anybody that can make long throws anymore, so it is what it is.
Yeah, Schnegg long throws to
David
Mbake
Schnegg,
would
yeah.
feed families.
Yeah, David Schnegg. Yep.
Yep.
All right, so from here on, this is where it might get a little bit more tighter with you guys.
Actually, so I didn't mean
go
to
for it.
cut you off.
That's
but,
all right. I cut you off
my
earlier,
2
so-
cents about Minnesota.
Yes, go for it.
They are my fall off a cliff team this year.
Okay, yeah, I can
don't-
totally see
I
it.
think
I
they're
mean-
not going to make the playoffs. I think the wheels completely fall off that
Wow.
bus.
All right.
To me, James is here for one reason and one reason only, and he's not here to help Minnesota win games.
No.
He's here because he wants to get ready for the World Cup. He wants to make a little bit extra money.
He has always been a country over club
He is a
guy.
country over club
But
guy.
he also knows that he has to prove something. Otherwise, he's not going to make.
He'll
country.
make it.
He's a living legend in his country.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that's a
and,
concern.
and to be fair, he goes into Super Saiyan mode when he plays for for Colombia. So
I'm a fan of Colombia. I mean, I love watching him play for his country, but I don't think he's going to do that for the club. No.
Oh no. And-
Yeah,
but
I think that Minnesota, this is a year where they completely fall apart.
I can
I'm-
see it, but
I can see them
I still think
backing
they
into
make
the playoffs as like an 8 or 9 seed, but like I don't see greatness from them this year. There's no reason to.
An 8 or 9 sounds about right to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
so the next group of 5 teams I want to mention, just like last season. Last season, it came down to 5 teams battled for 7th through 11th place.
It was tight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
3 points separated them from 4 points from Dallas all the way down to 41 points for Colorado. And only 3 of them made the playoffs. So I can see that happening again. That's these teams. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll start with Houston. Houston finished last season just above City in 12th with 37 points. They welcome back Hector Herrera for the season. Added, so bad with names. I'm notoriously bad at botching people's names. Matus Bogush from Cruz Azul, as well as Guilherme from Santos. So they got 2 guys from the Mexican League. But they didn't lose much. Again, not enough, in my opinion, to be a playoff lock, but I think they could battle their way in, depending on how the other teams fared. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a fair assessment. I mean, it's hard to look at how they were in 2025 and think automatic playoffs with them.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they're making efforts to get better, and I kind of put them in the same category as like Minnesota, only going in different directions. Whereas I think Houston's going to ascend, Minnesota is going to descend.
And they're both going to be fighting for the 8 or 9 spot late in the season and see who makes it.
I don't see, honestly, like we're gonna get some more of these teams in that kind of mushy middle, but like I think that that's gonna be another thing this year where you're gonna have a bunch of teams that are gonna be fighting out for just like a couple spots.
Mushy middle. I love that. That's
The mushy middle.
Perfect description for these teams, right?
Well, I think that the West, the East is obviously deeper and better, period.
Yep.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Where I think the West is at right now is you have 2 or 3 really good teams and then a bunch of question marks.
Yep.
And so I think, to me, 4 through 9, toss it up in the air. Like, who knows? Like, a lot of these teams are very flawed, and you might get hurt, have injuries that affect it. You might have performances you're not expecting, both good and bad. So, like, to me, Houston, borderline playoff team.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. These are the mushy middle. These are the teams you just never know. Next one in that category, I'm going to say, is Dallas. Dallas finished last season in 7th with 44 points. The only big loss from their roster was their number 1 keeper, Pace, but they did bring
Pius,
in
Pius.
Thank God, because
I'll say it again.
he owns us.
Another goalie that owns us, yes.
Yeah.
Don't they all?
But they did bring in Jonathan
they do.
Sirois from Montreal to replace them. They still have big Peter Musa to bang in their goals and a couple of young forwards and midfielders to back them up, including Patrickson Delgado. Pretty decent, balanced team. Nothing crazy exciting. Without Musa, though, they're struggling. If something happens to him, or he goes into a weird drought, they are toast. But with them, they could definitely be back in the playoffs.
I think they're going to be the one team out of this group, and assuming Musa stays healthy, is my playoff lock. Out of that mushy middle. Like I like where they're heading. I like where they're going. They've they've been slowly building themselves up over the past couple of years. And again, Musa is becoming he's going to probably take another step forward this year himself. He's still a youngster. Like he's like what 23, 24. So yeah, I see Dallas. I think I don't want to call them a safe playoff bet, but they should be like 5-6 is my guess.
I like Dallas. I think Dallas will be.
Moose is 27.
27. Okay, so
I think Dallas will be one of the more dependent teams on the summer window, because really what they're missing is a ball distributor, a 10 type, attacking midfield. If they're able to add that to what they have now, that's a team to me that's somewhere between 4 and 6 in the West. So I like Dallas. I think. Yeah, I agree with Tom in that they're improving. And if Musa is even close to what he was last year, I think, to me, they're a solid mid-table playoff team.
Yeah, Delgado was their big guy on assists last season with 6. Actually, Musa had 6 assists also.
Yeah, they're really heavily dependent on him. But again, if they're able to make a move in the summer and bring in a guy, then I think that's a team that could be dangerous.
Good 10s are hard to find, though. So I think that's Sure, if they can find a good one, then you're talking 4th or 5th. Without it, they're
good
6 or 7.
Good 10s are hard to find in MLS.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah. Here's another one. 3 more left. Portland is my next team. Finished tied on points with Dallas last season at 8th place with 44. They did lose David Ayala to Miami. That was probably their biggest roster loss, but they did sign Cole Bassett from Colorado. So that should help at least their midfield. Another team that's pretty balanced, but unlike Dallas, has no major firepower.
No.
So my question with this is, what Portland is it? Is it the Portland we saw for the entire regular season that seemed kind of disinterested? Or is it the Portland that we saw for the 3 playoff games against San Diego when they played like their hair was on fire? Right. Like, if he can get them to play that way, with that level of determination and grit, and like they played out of their minds for those 3 games, and they were arguably better than San Diego was in that series, and they didn't win it. But if that's what he can draw from them, then they're going to make the playoffs. But if it's what they showed during the regular season, then no.
And that's one interesting thing about them too, was stat wise, I could totally see City being this way if we don't sign a Klaus replacement. Is that they had basically 3 goal scorers, 3 big goal scorers. They all tied with 7 goals apiece throughout the whole season. That was it. That was what drove them. But they didn't have the big Musa or anybody like that to help them
That's
along.
our preview of our season for this year. That's us.
I'm going to put RSL in this category as well. They had a big overhaul this offseason, dumping a lot of players from their roster and replaced them with kind of took a City route. They took guys in, international players who don't have MLS experience and are unchallenged, and you don't know what this team could end up doing. But I will say, if Diego Luna goes, then I think they're out of a playoff hunt altogether. I mean, that's the key to their team.
It's hard seeing them in the playoffs at this point. I think they as you said, they've overhauled way too much. They did the St. Louis, as you said, the St. Louis thing where you bring in a lot of internationals that don't have MLS experience, so you don't know how they're going to gel. I don't have them like Portland. I can see finishing anywhere from like 6 to 12. Yeah. Honestly, I don't think RSL has that much variability for me. They might be like in that Minnesota, level or Houston level where they're fighting for that last playoff spot, but I just don't. I have no reason to be excited about them.
Yeah. I could see it. The final team I'm throwing into this category, call me an optimist, but I'm throwing City into the mushy middle. I think with all of City's additions and what we already had in place, City can compete with these before-mentioned teams and possibly make the playoffs, or at least make that because we never know what MLS is their playoff structure is gonna be until midway through the season.
Yeah.
If they stick with the 8th and 9th, wild card teams, I could see us being 8th or 9th.
Look, if City had had a couple of more guys stay healthy last year, they were in that position last year. Like you're talking about, they were 3 wins out of playoffs. And look at how many games we gave up points late.
Yeah.
Look at how many games we could have, should have won, but our roster was so thin from injuries that by the time you bring on your subs, you're bringing on guys who should not be seeing the field in an MLS game. So all of those points were dropping late because all of those guys had to be on the field. A couple less injuries, and this team would have won more games last year. We would have, could have, should have been a 9th place team last year. So I see no reason why we are not in contention for, I could see this team finishing 7th.
It's possible. To me, it all depends on what Betcher and Toyshirt
Well,
does.
we were talking about, again, Portland not having a lot of goal scorers,
Yeah.
a lot of finishers. We're kind of in that same boat where, like, can we count on Betcher to be that finisher? Does McScorley suddenly step up and become that finisher for us? Does Seti Toykert find his old form from even 2024 when he was looking pretty good? There's nothing about the City team that has me sitting here and thinking safely that we're going to be in the wild card hunt. Now, could we be in that point? Absolutely. I think I'm a lot more positive on the moves that Corey Ray has made than most, and I think we're gonna and it goes back to Conrad Vollum. We're gonna see the real Conrad Vollum now that he's gonna be our dedicated wingback. But who's gonna score?
Well, we could be like Portland. They made the playoffs last year.
It's true.
They had 3 guys, 7 goals. That could totally be us.
But Portland doesn't have a brand new system to learn either.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much the system overhaul is going to be what holds us back. I really, I'm worried about where the goals are coming from too, for sure. But I think if we had a goal scorer, then all of a sudden we're talking about, how high is that ceiling? I think our floor this year is where we finished last year, and just be a little bit healthier. And I do think we're in that hunt. Are we a playoff lock? No, of course not.
Yeah.
Not with as much change as there's been. But I think if this team is not more in the fight for 7, 8, 9, then something's really wrong. I definitely could see, us just riding those positions all year long.
As currently constructed, I don't think this is a playoff team.
No,
I don't.
Not even wild card.
Just for goal scoring, or were you
again, we've talked about some of the things and some of my concerns. I don't know how well our defense will actually defend. You can be a really good defensive team that doesn't score a lot, but I don't know that we're going to be a really good defensive team because I haven't seen that yet. And the players we've brought in to be our defense aren't necessarily known for being good defenders. And
were the guys we put out there last year? I mean, last year when it's Yarrow and Hebert taking all of those, I mean, I think we're better off than starting guys like that over and over again.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that, again, already leaves us at an upgraded defense. Are there question marks? Sure. But those question marks leave us what I think the downside is where we were, and the upside is better than that. And
so my point on it is not necessarily that, have we upgraded over a Yarrow Hebert playing all the time? Absolutely. I think that's without a doubt. I completely agree that our floor is better, as we've talked about. My point is that I don't know if we're going to score enough to overcome the defensive deficiencies of the guys that we have now playing defense. Because I don't know that Polvara is going to be a legitimate center back because he's never done it. And in fact, if you watch the interview that he gave, he didn't exactly exude enthusiasm about being a center back. He was kind of like, well, if that's what they want me to do, I guess I'll do it. But, he sees himself as a center mid. Yeah. And you look at guys like Mbake. Mbake is not new to this league. He played in L.A., and if you talk to LAFC fans, they're like, oh, yeah, he's super exciting. And he's great, athletic, and he can score, and he can head the ball. Is he a good defender? Not necessarily. And so I'm not overly concerned. Like, I'm not saying our defense is going to be terrible, but all I'm saying is we now don't have a legitimate 9. Like, we don't have, the guy who's going to be our starter on Saturday is a guy who would not be the backup 9 on a majority of MLS teams. And that's our starting 9. And we're not anywhere near, as far as I know, close to getting anybody to upgrade over what Betcher brings, right? And you could say, okay, we have Betcher, we have Teutschert. Teutschert hasn't proven he can do that job consistently. And so if you are roughly as good on defense, maybe a little bit better, okay, that's nice, but I just don't see where the goals are coming from. And so, as currently constructed, I don't think they're a playoff team.
Well, and not only that, but not only would Betcher not be a backup 9 for a lot of teams, his backup 9 may not even be on a roster for a lot of teams in Brandon McSorley.
Yeah.
And again, I and just as a quick disclaimer, so Chris is very well aware of my appreciation for Jose Kojima as a player. If you waited until now for me to make a Jose Kojima reference, take your drink. But I will say that in some ways, McSorley has kind of replaced that. Kojima for me, in that I saw a lot of him at City 2. I think he offers a lot of energy. He has a good sense for positioning. He's really good on aerials. I see enough of McSorley to believe that he can contribute at MLS. But for me to sit here and say that I'm comfortable with him being our top option if Betcher gets hurt or for some reason continues to have the yips and doesn't, convert on his chances, I can't sit here and tell you that. I mean, remember, McSorley was a third rounder a couple years ago, and he's made good so far, to be fair. And I'm rooting for the guy, but we're talking about the subject at hand here is St. Louis a playoff team right now?
Or wild card.
St. Louis is a wild card team. Is Brandon McSorley as a active contributor gonna put us into that wild card mode? I can't say right now he is.
But I just look at where we were last year. We were not that far out of it last year, and I don't think. Obviously, Klaus is gone, but was Klaus what was winning us games most of the year last year? I mean, because he wasn't. He went through a giant stretch of not scoring goals. So I think when that is your major loss, and you're saying where the goals coming from, they weren't coming from anywhere last year, and we still. It somehow stayed in the hunt for the last playoff spot longer than we should have given those injuries. And so I think, honestly, just health alone puts us in contention for the playoffs.
But two differences, which started to bring us back at the last end of last season, was Klaus did, once he broke out of his drought, he did start scoring. He was basically averaging a goal every 2 games. We started being healthy. We actually had a healthy roster back, which brought us back.
Partially. We were still missing some...
Sure, Teutschert especially, yeah. I mean,
and on defense, we still had holes on defense. We had guys who...
Kessler, yeah.
I mean, Kessler never came back. Kessler was our starting center mid. He was our starting center back. He was supposed to be... what the rest of it hinged on, and we didn't have that.
But my point is, I'm agreeing with you that, we started to show what we could have actually been last year if, A, Klaus was scoring, and B, we had a healthy squad. And now that we have an improved squad over last season, I think that drives us a little bit further, especially, like I said, from the very beginning of this, the mushy middle.
I think
guys, 3 points separated all of these teams.
That's why arguing that St. Louis is in the mushy middle this year. I absolutely agree with you on that. I do not think this is
it, but
sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
any of those teams could. That's the point of why we're saying they're mushy. Those are teams that the bottom could fall out on, but some of them are making the playoffs.
Also, I wanted to point out one thing about Mbake Fall, which I think everybody forgets, just because, I mean, players do improve the older they get. He just turned 23. When he played for LAFC, he was only 19.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that Villarreal and Barcelona took a chance on him, like, hey, this guy might actually... Obviously, he didn't to that level, but you've got to think he's improved over what we saw in MLS.
Yeah, Barca saw something in him to, like, and this is Barcelona we're talking about here. This isn't like Real Oviedo or anything, or Alaves, taking a chance on him. This is Barcelona. They saw something in him. and it hasn't worked out to this point yet. I mean, granted, you have to do
Still
a lot.
Young.
You have to break, and you have to be pretty good to break into the Barca.
I think that's fair.
Setup.
Yeah.
That's very fair. But he's 23. He's young, and the same thing with his other namesake, Falou Fall, in that he's only
21.
He's going to be 21, and so there's going to be a lot of growing that needs to be done with this team, and growing that needs to be done very quick for us to be a playoff team. Right now, and again, it kind of goes back into something I've been telling people, and that is I'm almost kind of relieved we don't have the expectations this year that we had in past years for this isn't Carroll and Kindle. We need to make the playoffs hands down, because we haven't been making the playoffs. Now we're going into the season knowing that we have to retool, reshape, and it's going to be a growth process.
But growth process is okay. I can live with the growth process. So last week when it was just Steve and I were talking about, I was reading comments online of some people saying like, well, since City have decided to tank this season, like they're not tanking. You're not saying like we're not going to win any games, because you can't do that in MLS anyway, which already shows a lack of understanding of the league.
College draft pick so bad.
But I don't think they've written off this season. No. Yes, I agree with you that you should not have. Nobody should be making predictions of we have to do this.
Yeah,
it's not that kind of a roster.
It's more we have the potential to make the playoffs.
The reason why I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, as with this roster currently constructed, is a couple things. But primarily, I don't know where the goals are going to come from. I don't have faith in Betcher as a starting 9. I just don't. And I hope I'm wrong. Again, like Tom said, I'm rooting for him. I want the team to do well.
If he doesn't step up, this is his last season. He's got to go.
But the other thing, and Tom already touched on this, is our initial schedule is a bear.
Yeah.
And if you look at the last 2 seasons, we've basically been out of the playoffs by the time the summer transfer window came around. And so what I'm hoping doesn't come true, but what I could envision is that they're kind of out of it by the time that rolls around, and no matter what moves they would make in the summertime, it's just not enough, right? And so, because I think this is going to be a rough stretch. The first 10 games this year, if they're anywhere near, if they come out of the first 10 games this year and they're in 6th or 5th, I'm like, yeah, okay, we're making the playoffs. But if they're in 12th or 13th, I don't think it's happening. Right?
See, but this year, though, is going to be so weird with that long gap in the middle that I don't think any team is going to know what the second half is going to look like. So if I'm basically anybody who's not top 3, I think if anybody who's not top 3 is going to go into the World Cup saying, I don't know. Like, I think that there's going to be a lot of teams who don't know which way they're headed, who don't know if they're on their way down or up. So I think there's going to be a lot of question marks for a lot of markets.
And with that break can be a big advantage to any of these teams, including City, if you add a player, because now you've got this time to acclimate that player, get them into the system,
or you could be the team that had momentum, then now all of a sudden you lose it. I think that could screw with some teams that are just finding form and winning games, and then you go away and you lose guys for so long, and then have to get it back together.
But then maybe in the case of City, too, if you've had that rough first 14 games, you get to take the break, lick your chops, and then you're coming back to a soft schedule, coming right out. So you can easily just get your momentum right back, too. So
it's going to be a weird year for that.
It is.
And I will say, if you're feeling very dissatisfied about how City is doing and the World Cup break hits, remember, you can go watch games at Soccer Park this year from mid-May to mid-July, because Gallagher is going to be playing in the Midwest Premier League. So, there you go. If you want to relive the FC days.
Right down the road from me.
Yeah. Literally.
5 minutes. So I think to wrap this part up, the last 3 teams that I think City should have no problem finishing above, the 3 teams that'll battle it out for the wooden spoon. San Jose, I mean, they added Timo Werner, but they also got rid of all their goal scorers and Espinoza. I mean, Martinez and Arango, they scored 27 goals combined. Espinoza was their top assist guy. They could finish. The other 2 teams I was going to mention, Colorado and KC, they might finish above them, but I think those are the 3 teams that are out. Colorado, not a lot to mention, and KC, enjoy last place again.
I was gonna say, I think Kansas is gonna be lifting the wooden spoon this year. They have done absolutely nothing this offseason.
They don't have a full roster. It baffles me.
Yeah, I mean, Jay Reed might be in their starting lineup.
Yeah, they got Reed.
I mean, it's to the point where if you buy a high price enough ticket, I think you get to just play, or you just get to go sit on the bench. The thing about the San Jose thing with Timo Werner, did they not tell Werner any of the other moves that they made? And so he's like, "Oh, I'm going to a team that's got Christian Espinosa and all these." And he gets there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, all those guys are gone." Sorry, I didn't quite understand that, other than just "Oh, I want to live in California."
Weren't San Jose supposed to be on their way up? Weren't people a year
very
ago
much
saying
were.
they're?
They very much were.
And also, didn't anyone tell San Jose that Timo Werner has not been scoring goals the past couple of years?
Yeah.
So I San Jose is kind of like a weird pick among experts to do well this year, and I just don't see it.
No.
The Werner thing would have made sense to me for a Portland, who needs a goal scorer, even though he hasn't really been scoring over in Europe.
Or a Klaus replacement for us.
That would have made sense. No, not necessarily, because to me, that's the kind of guy you go out and get a Mueller when your team's already pretty good, and then you're trying to go to that next step.
That's fair.
Right? And you're okay, Vancouver, we're pretty good, and we need one more guy to kind of push us up into that upper echelon. And so I could have seen, a Werner going to a Portland and say, okay, we were right there with the team that finished first in the West last year in the playoffs.
We needed we needed to add this.
And we need one more guy, right?
Yeah.
But the San Jose thing, it's we got our one guy, but then we sold off the other 4 good players we had. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't see them doing anything. They're bad. Colorado's bad. Kansas City's bad. It's good to have a few teams that we know are going to be bad.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, like Colorado's in the same boat as San Jose for me, where it's people are thinking that Colorado's going to be decent this year, and I'm like, what? Why? They lost Mihalovic, they lost Bassett, and they've done. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't either. It's a Stan Kroenke-owned team. I don't. I don't expect him to make good decisions.
It's Voldemort.
It's Voldemort.
Name,
he who shall not be named.
Don't say his name.
And I will also say, too, that, you can tell that Kroenke doesn't care about the Rapids, because have you ever been to Dick's Sporting Goods Stadium?
I've seen it from a distance.
Okay, but you've never been in it?
Nope.
Okay. Enjoy a very neglected experience where you have half the panels in the scoreboard are broken, and you have no cover against the rain, and it is basically just a concrete bowl.
And those are the ones that are going to be extra depressing season after next when we start playing those winter games. It's going to be in Colorado in the winter.
Oh my gosh!
Enjoy that. So.
Yeah, but we get them again May 9th, and I'll be going to that one. I'm actually going to be going to that, and then the day before Colorado Springs in the USL plays. And I'm going to do a video comparing the two stadiums, and I think the USL stadium's going to win out on that one.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, Widener feels pretty nice.
I have never been there, but I've seen it on TV watching USL games, and there are some good stadiums in USL.
There are. There actually really are. Some better than MLS stadiums. I would probably say there's USL stadiums that are a lot better than the former Children's Mercy Park at this point. Which is not a bad stadium. I'm not dogging Kansas stadium just for the sake of dogging him. It's fine. Stadium. It's fine. It's definitely aged.
It is, but it's got an interesting look to it. That
and you do have cover from the rain.
Yeah,
because I went to the Open Cup semifinals when they took on Indy 11 a couple years ago, and there was a long rain delay, and but you never had problem finding cover. Whereas in Colorado, our game had a rain delay, and you have a very small part of the concourse where there's actual coverage, and so we all kind of packed in there like sardines, and it was just.
Well, that's the key. Is just
awkward.
have low enough attendance, and everybody is okay.
Bingo.
That place screams to me oh, this was probably pretty cool 20 years ago.
Yes.
MLS has
but
moved
now,
on.
yeah, MLS has moved on, and the stadium designs have moved on and are better, and
And it's also like in the middle of an industrial park too. Like the
location is horrendous,
Yeah.
and they know it, and they don't want to admit it, but it's awful.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's awful. So, and it's going to look like an afterthought when they build a new football stadium out there, because that's where the football stadium's going, is in the Legend Complex. And I saw the same thing when I went to Montreal and saw where Stade Saputo is compared to Olympic Stadium, and it just looks like, oh yeah, we had some extra land, so we just threw up the top of the stadium like we didn't care, So it's going to be even more of this kind of second-rate experience over there. So.
All right, well, let's go into our last little segment here. Let's go ahead and throw in our end-of-season predictions here. Big one first. What place do we finish? What do you think, Tom?
I'm going to be optimistic. And I hate that this is optimistic. I'm going to say 11th.
Okay. Chris?
I have notoriously been terrible at this.
I think we all have.
To be fair.
On multiple different podcasts across the country, I have always been awful at this. I think I picked us to finish 4th in the second year and 6th last year, so neither one of those were anywhere near right. This year, 10th. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope we make the playoffs, and I want us to, but I'm going to say 10th.
Joe Chambers.
I'm going to be the actual optimist. I'm going to say 8th. I think that this is a team that makes the playoffs. I don't, they're not going to light the world on fire, but I think that we were a lot closer last year than people in their heads remember us being. I think everybody remembers feeling frustrated all year and feeling like we were a wooden spoon team. I think we were a lot closer than that. Remember when the Rams were here? The year before they won the Super Bowl, they went 3-13. And I remember listening to an interview with DeMarco Farr when they were asking him a year later after they won. He said that they never thought they were a bad team, that they didn't realize they were bad. He said because all the guys in the field remembered is, yeah, but we were 1 or 2 plays away in so many games that the difference between 3-13 and being a 9-win team was a handful of plays. I think the difference last year and being 9 points out of the playoffs for City and sneaking into the playoffs was a couple of guys being available for a couple of games, was a couple of late goals we gave up in a couple of games. I think it was a far closer to a 9th place team last year than people want to think. So I think this year they're upgraded to, I'm going to say 8th. And I know that's optimistic and it could be lower, but that's my actual prediction.
Cool. I think I'm filling in the gap. Yes, I am. I'm going 9th, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm going 9th and hoping that that is the final wild card spot again, as has been set by MLS, but you never know, they could change it.
It's so funny. I was the optimist by saying 11th, and now I'm the pessimist.
I don't see them. I see them closer to the playoffs than the wooden spoon. Yeah. At worst.
Well, I've overshot it way wildly every year. So
same.
Hey, if I can undershoot it this year and I call 10th and they finish the playoffs, then fine.
And MLS is such a crapshoot. Nobody actually knows. I mean, if you'd asked me at the beginning of last year, like, oh, so you think San Diego are going to win the conference? I would have said no, of course not.
Do you think that half of our starters will be on the injured list all season long?
Well, yeah.
Well, that one. Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So another question based on our current roster. Then another prediction here: who ends the season with the most goals? Who's our Golden Boot winner?
Okay, this is one where I will be optimistic on. Okay. Betcher.
Okay.
You cannot be as unlucky as Betcher is and not score goals. If he is, then he should never ever buy a Powerball ticket in his life. But I think Betcher is going to get so many chances and just to stand out and prove that he belongs, and he's got to feel the pressure to do it. And so I'm just going to say, I think it's Betcher. I'm just going to say Betcher.
Chris?
Hartle's our best player. He's our most consistent player, and I don't have the faith that Tom has in Betcher. So, and I also think, once again, Hartle will probably be our highest minutes played. And just based on having the most minutes plus being the best player we have, I think he winds up leading. So,
And also the highest miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe?
All right. I will agree with you that Hartle is definitely the best player, and I'm going to hope that that leads to a lot of assists. Since I was the optimist who said 8th place for them, I think I have to agree with Betcher, because I think if he's not scoring goals, then I think my prediction of them being in 8th is going to be hard to do. I don't see any of those other guys filling in enough goals for them to finish in that position. So I think an 8th place prediction depends on Betcher at least having a decent season. He's not going to lead the league, but he should lead this team.
No, that's good. Again, kind of along the same lines, but instead of Betcher, I'm throwing in Teuscher. He showed that potential when he first got here. I mean, Betcher did too, but I think Betcher, again, fails to score goals, and I think DeMay sees Teuscher and throws him in there, and he ends up being that poacher that we need, and
So if you
ends up banging like 10 goals.
If you treat them almost as one guy.
But again, 10 goals isn't tons.
But no, for just talking purposes, if you treat them as one player, okay, let's say the Betcher-Teuscher combo, what's the number of goals that player would have to have? 15? Like, would you say, okay, if we can get 15 goals out of those two guys combined, that's
absolutely.
pretty good?
Yeah. Kind of like Portland last year. They had 3 guys with 7.
I think
something
that's
along
fair.
those lines.
Yeah, if
totally
the two
fair.
of them are only combining for 10 goals, that's bad.
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Teukert is, and I'll talk about this Tuesday night because we're going to talk about our X factors, is like, for me, Teukert's my X factor this year, and just because we don't know exactly which Teukert we're going to get. And not only that, but my only concern with declaring Teukert as our top goal scorer, which it could end up happening because, again, we like to get injured a lot. But as of, again, I don't think he's in the starting lineup this Saturday. And so, like, how does he find his way into the lineup? Is it going to require Betcher, continuing to fall on his face? Is it going to require an injury to, God forbid, Hartle or Songbin? Because those are really the 3 spots where Teukert could get into the lineup right now. And so
I'm hoping he is not in the lineup over any of them. I'm hoping he is coming off the bench
or exactly
rotating in on all those midweek games. Talk about how many midweek games there are this year.
And I'd be okay with him being a super sub coming in.
But if he could put in 6 goals as a super sub, then we're where we're talking about.
But I will say something to support your argument, Steve, is the fact that he is playing for a contract. Because his contract is technically up in June, although we can extend it, to the end of the season. So, I mean, if he does get his opportunity, I think he's a good bet to make the most of it because, again, he's playing for that deal.
Yep. We're going to need goals from somewhere, so I hope he is finding some. A goal-scoring threat off the bench would be nice. That would be a nice change. We haven't really been doing that.
So then let's go to predictions for this Saturday's home opener. What's the score? What do we do? Tom?
I'm going to go 1-1.
Chris?
I was going to go 1-1, but
You still can.
Tom stole my answer. I'll go 0-0.
Ooh.
Tim Ream putting in his action back there.
Yeah,
putting in the work.
Because I just don't have confidence in City scoring. And I don't think Charlotte's going to have the year they had last year. So, 0-0, scoreless draw.
I'm glad you said Tim Ream and not Henry Kessler because he probably won't be playing Saturday.
And before we get to Joe's pick,
yes,
the only thing that's going to be disappointing about Saturday is that we don't have Enzo Capetti.
Yeah,
the original City villain.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, so
he was
the first
Yes.
City villain who famously almost got in a fist fight with.
You never forget your first.
Yes,
He was.
I am so disappointed that he's no longer with Charlotte. So
You gotta love when the whole stadium finds a guy to boo for the rest of the game.
Yes. So he played his role very well, and but yeah, that I'm disappointed that he's not there, so we could run that back. But yeah, I'm going 0-0.
Steve, do you want to go or you want me to go?
Go for it.
Well, since I was optimistic on the on the positions, I'll be optimistic on the game too. I'm going to go 1-0 City. I think we can sneak one in and hope to maybe hold them. I think 1-1 sounds very likely. But no, I'm going to go 1-0.
I find it interesting. We have 2 clean sheets as our predictions already, with our defense and Berkey maybe not being the Berkey he was in 2023.
I think maybe I'm just hoping that Charlotte isn't in goal scoring form yet, more
That's
than
more
thinking our
my-
defense.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, that's fair.
Charlotte still has Zaha, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore I am going with City winning 2-1 because Zaha will
Okay.
score their 1 goal. Yeah, I'm going to say we win. I'm going to be the
Zaha
more
fan,
out.
but it's
Look, I'm gonna test you though. Who scores for us?
ooh, if we're getting 2, we got to have or somebody getting a brace, or we got 2 guys who can find the net.
Hartle
Okay,
and Songbin.
Singer. Okay.
All right.
I've got Betcher for us getting a late late
That would be
equalizer.
nice.
So much better glazing.
I know.
today.
Well, but
I just wanna know-
I'll qualify that by saying that Betcher's going to have 2 golden chances that he somehow doesn't score on before he scores
out
on
of
the
3,
third.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's better hope more than better glazing.
I just
I'd be
hope it.
copium at this
Will
point.
City have any player score more goals than Anthony Marcanic this year? That's really that's the real question. You know.
Yeah, Marcanic is not
He's just
repeating
a
last
goal
season.
machine.
No.
And on that note,
gonna
He
score
could drop
2
off from
and-
last year and still be our leading
That's
scorer.
correct. Well, what I've thrown this out a few times, and this is a complete aside, but are we at the point now, especially given who we just lost in this offseason, where the roster of former City players would beat the roster of current City players? And with the exception of goalie,
Are we talking about in the form they're in now, or like in their best form?
right now, like, would the former City player makeup of a team beat the team we have right now? And I would argue that now that Klaus is gone,
That's the
it's
thing.
awfully close.
That's the thing with Klaus gone.
Now, you're pretty weak in goal.
are we assuming Nilsson and Alm are healthy? And Lugan's available?
I think we've proven the last couple of years no one can ever assume that Nilsson and
No,
Alm are
yeah,
healthy.
those two guys,
Okay,
yeah.
so we're assuming not.
Yeah,
Okay.
They don't exist.
Yeah. I mean, it's close.
It is.
It's getting close.
I say old
Yeah.
roster wins 3-2.
I wouldn't call for a score.
Okay, but I would
I was
say,
just saying,
but
like, yeah.
like all things being equal, I would still at this point, again, because you still have Klaus, you still have on fire Joe Aquini from 2023. It's close, but I would still say old roster at this point.
Your boy Kojima,
Exactly, the
Stroud,
Big Sam.
your back line is
Scary Jerry.
You got Danaran too. Yeah, coming up. Yeah.
you still got Johnny Nelson,
Nelson.
Lucas Bartlett.
If Johnny Nelson didn't hate all of us or all St. Louis so much, he'd be pleased to know how much he was mentioned during this podcast.
Maybe Nicholas Durr actually gets a chance.
Oh, jeez.
Thanks, Bradley.
Yeah.
Man, we've had a lot of guys come through already.
Yeah.
Well, especially on the left back side.
Yeah.
There's the famous picture of the jersey that's got all the guys.
Like I said, our left back position is like the spinal tap
It is
drummer
the
of
spinal
us.
tap.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's hope maybe
we have-
just
so
find
we
some
have a
stability
tie.
for a change.
Tie, win. Is that what we're going?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Joe and I are pretty
optimistic.
optimistic.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm also
ninth.
notoriously bad at predicting scores.
Well,
Same.
again, we all
Which,
are.
by the way, are you doing your charity challenge this year?
That's going to be announced, but probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's going to have to go on a hiatus for a year.
Okay.
Just due to a lot of stuff going on at home and other things.
Bring it back for the short season next year.
It might be easier
Yeah.
to kind of reinvent it for next
Yeah,
year.
Well,
take
good.
I was going to send an email out probably tomorrow saying, hey, it's probably not happening this year.
Well, my self-esteem just improved. Thank you very much for that, because I was always bad in that too.
yeah,
So
yeah, I was always middle of the pack.
Yeah, I was very mid-table. We were very
Yeah,
mid-table.
I was the West.
Yeah,
Ham
we
of the
the
all
bushy
can't be-
middle of the podcast.
We all can't be
prediction
Mason
league.
from River City Ramble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow he had the Midas touch.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's
to derail
hey,
you.
it's quite all right. All right, well, guys, I think that'll do it for this episode. It was a blast. I had a good time. I thank Red Smoke Rising and Chris Gephardt from STL Soccer News for joining us. Sorry your other guys couldn't be here. I look forward to listening to your podcast. Like I said, you guys are and Flyover Footy are the only city pods I listen to.
I appreciate
I
that.
honestly mean that. So keep up the good work. I wish you guys all the best. Anything you'd like to say before you go?
Oh, just that we are now available on the STL Soccer News YouTube channel, and that is for any sort of Soccer Zombie related City SC related content. That's where that will be going forward. Soccer Zombie is just going to be dedicated to the lower leagues of American soccer going forward. But if you want to follow Red Smoke Rising, subscribe to us, STL Soccer News on YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram, X, and Blue Sky.
Awesome.
And we are live Tuesday nights at 8:00.
Very cool. Yeah, it was fun. We'll need to do this again. Thank you guys. Thanks, Joe, of course.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and
always great.
Always great to be here. I dedicate my award-winning record-breaking appearance to Michael Hafner, who is now in second place for guest appearances on City SC Report. And so, Michael, you have work to do. Hopefully, they invite you back at some point. But
See, now he could bribe us. Yeah, it'll be great.
yeah, so I'm hoping to form a rivalry with Michael. And have a little competition. But anytime you guys have me on, it's always a blast, and I love talking soccer with you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that you guys are right in your guesses, in your
we'll
predictions.
see.
I mean, honestly, I could see anywhere from 8th through 11th. It
Yeah,
totally could be.
I'm gonna go. I could see anywhere 6th through 12th. They
Yeah.
could be better.
Kinda
They
like
could be
Portland,
6th
yeah.
through.
Yeah, for
It's-
sure. So
you don't know.
always a good time talking to you guys. I appreciate the invite. So
Thanks, Chris.
And your trophy for winning that award is since we can't see it, citywide beer.
Yeah.
yeah, it's always fun to come drink Steve's beer and
As I'm drinking a City Pilsner.
yeah.
Yes.
So
There's a lot of forehands in this house. I
forehands.
wonder why.
Well, there are 4 people here. So.
Yes, that
correct,
too.
yeah.
So, yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks, Joe. Thank you, listeners. See you all this Saturday. That's weird to say. At always be City Park to me, Energizer Park.
It'll always be Centene Stadium too, Steve.
Oh, jeez.
Let's roll it all the way back.
I'm so glad that we're finally gonna have games to talk about. This endless prediction and
Yeah.
talking about the roster is killing me. We need some actual on the field
as,
soccer.
to have it. We're about to have
said on X this week, I said in an alternate universe they would have announced the McDonnell Douglas part of Centene Stadium instead of the Boeing part of Energizer Park. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And you could even throw TWA in there
yeah, well,
somewhere.
that's I mean that's going.
Yeah.
Most people who are probably listening to this are like, I don't know
What are you
TWA
even
is.
talking
What
about?
is that? So,
Yeah. So thank you, guys.
sure.
See you all this Saturday. And until next time, go City.
Go City.
Go City.
Go City.